Overthinking. It's a relentless cycle of what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. Our minds become a battlefield of anxieties and doubts. We get stuck in our heads, paralyzed by fear and indecision. It's exhausting and all-consuming. Overthinking can affect anyone, regardless of age, background, or circumstance. We all experience moments of worry and contemplation. But when these thoughts become persistent and overwhelming, they can take a toll on our well-being. Overthinking can manifest in various ways, from sleepless nights plagued by anxiety to difficulty concentrating on daily tasks. It can strain our relationships as we project our fears onto others and struggle to be present in the moment. The constant barrage of negative thoughts can leave us feeling drained, hopeless, and disconnected from ourselves and the world around us. Breaking free from the overthinking trap is possible. It requires courage, self-compassion, and a willingness to challenge our thought patterns. I know firsthand the debilitating effects of overthinking. For years, I was trapped in a cycle of negative self-talk and paralyzing fear. Every decision, no matter how small, became an agonizing ordeal. My mind would race with all the things that could go wrong, creating mountains out of molehills. I was constantly second-guessing myself, doubting my abilities, and anticipating the worst possible outcomes. This constant state of anxiety took a toll on my mental and physical health. I withdrew from social situations, fearing judgment and rejection. My sleep was disrupted by relentless worries, leaving me feeling exhausted and depleted. I was a prisoner in my own mind, unable to escape the torment of my own thoughts. One particularly difficult day, I hit rock bottom. The weight of my overthinking became unbearable, and I felt a profound sense of hopelessness wash over me. It was in that moment of despair that I realized I couldn't continue down this path. I knew I needed to find a way to break free from the chains of my own mind. With the support of loved ones, I began to seek help. I reached out to a therapist, hoping to find tools and strategies to manage my overthinking. It was a turning point in my journey. Through therapy, I learned about the power of mindfulness, cognitive behavioral therapy, and self-compassion. These practices provided me with a roadmap to navigate the treacherous terrain of my own mind. It wasn't an easy journey. It required patience, perseverance, and a willingness to confront my deepest fears and insecurities. But with each step forward, I felt a glimmer of hope ignite within me. Mindfulness became my anchor in the storm of my thoughts. It taught me to observe my thoughts without judgment, to acknowledge their presence without letting them control me. Through mindfulness meditation, I learned to focus on my breath, to ground myself in the present moment, and to cultivate a sense of inner peace. It was like developing a muscle, strengthening my ability to detach from the relentless chatter of my mind. At first, it was challenging. My mind would race, resisting the stillness. But gradually, with practice, I began to experience moments of quietude and clarity. Mindfulness wasn't about stopping my thoughts altogether. It was about changing my relationship with them. Section 5. Journaling the Journey. Journaling became another powerful tool in my arsenal against overthinking. It provided me with a safe space to express my thoughts and feelings without judgment or reservation. Each day, I would sit down with my journal and pour out the contents of my mind onto the page. I wrote about my fears, my anxieties, and my deepest insecurities. Through journaling, I began to notice patterns in my thinking. I saw how certain situations or triggers would send me spiraling into negative thought loops. This awareness was crucial in helping me challenge and reframe those thoughts. Journaling wasn't about dwelling in negativity. It was about understanding the root of my overthinking and finding healthier ways to cope. Section 6. The Power of CBT. Cognitive Behavioral Therapy, or CBT, provided me with practical strategies to challenge and reframe my negative thoughts. CBT is based on the premise that our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are interconnected. By identifying and challenging negative thought patterns, we can change our emotional and behavioral responses. Through CBT, I learned to identify my cognitive distortions, the irrational thought patterns that were fueling my overthinking. I discovered that I had a tendency to catastrophize, to assume the worst possible outcome in every situation. I also engaged in all-or-nothing thinking, seeing things in black and white, with no room for nuance or gray areas. With the guidance of my therapist, I learned to challenge these distortions. I would ask myself for evidence to support my negative thoughts, often finding that there was little to no basis for them. Section 7. Digital Detox. In today's digital age, we're constantly bombarded with information and stimulation. Social media, news feeds, and emails can create a sense of overwhelm and contribute to our overthinking. I realized that I needed to create boundaries with technology to protect my mental health. I started by setting limits on my social media use, silencing notifications, and designating specific times to check emails. I also made a conscious effort to engage in activities that brought me joy and allowed me to disconnect from the digital world. I spent time in nature, read books, and reconnected with hobbies that I had neglected. Reducing my exposure to the constant stream of information and stimulation had a profound impact on my mental clarity and overall well-being. Section 8. Setting realistic goals. Overthinking often stems from a fear of failure, a belief that we're not good enough or that we'll never measure up. To combat this, I started setting realistic goals for myself. Instead of aiming for perfection, I focused on progress, celebrating small victories along the way. I broke down larger tasks into smaller, more manageable steps, making them feel less daunting and overwhelming. I also learned to embrace imperfection, to accept that mistakes are an inevitable part of growth and learning. By setting realistic goals, I was able to shift my focus from fear of failure to the joy of accomplishment. Section 9. Embracing self-compassion. Perhaps the most important lesson I learned on my journey was the importance of self-compassion. Overthinking often goes hand in hand with self-criticism, a relentless inner voice that tells us we're not good enough. I realized that I needed to treat myself with the same kindness and understanding that I would offer a loved one. I began to challenge my negative self-talk, replacing it with affirmations of self-worth and self-acceptance. I learned to forgive myself for my mistakes, to recognize that I am human, and that imperfection is not a weakness but a testament to our shared humanity. Embracing self-compassion allowed me to approach my overthinking with a sense of gentleness and understanding, rather than judgment and criticism. Section 10. Finding freedom. It's been a long and winding road, but I can honestly say that I'm no longer a prisoner to my own overthinking. Through mindfulness, CBT, self-compassion, and the support of loved ones, I've learned to manage my thoughts and live a more fulfilling and meaningful life. The journey isn't always easy. There are days when the old thought patterns resurface, threatening to pull me back into the abyss. But now I have the tools and the resilience to navigate those challenges. Overcoming overthinking is an ongoing process, not a destination. Section 11. You are not alone. If you're struggling with overthinking, please know that you're not alone. Millions of people around the world share this experience. Reach out to a trusted friend, family member, therapist, or support group. There is help available, and you don't have to suffer in silence. Remember to be kind to yourself, to practice self-compassion, and to celebrate your progress, no matter how small. You are capable of breaking free from the overthinking trap and living a life filled with joy, purpose, and peace of mind.